Today's discussion is customs. It is the biggest chapter. So today we will start 2:30 sharp and we will try to finish. We'll take a short break after 2 or 3 hours based on your stamina. Okay, so customs is our topic. Tell yourself, this class we have come here, God give us patience, help us understand and take all the carbon dioxide. Give us the strength to concentrate and learn whatever we have come here for. I know this is such a precious month for you. You have removed time and you have come here, so make the best use. Okay, if there is uneasiness, just ignore it and start concentrating on the class. So we are starting with customs law now. How many of you all understand the basics of customs? Did you see Badmaash Company movie? Yes. You see, okay. So now it will be easy for me to explain customs for you. Okay, not a problem. So before we go, for 10 minutes, we have to watch some slides to understand. Tomorrow if you become an entrepreneur and you start importing goods, then what will happen? Okay, this is for an importer. So just switch off the lights and look at the slide once. Is the projector on? This one? 2 minutes it will take. Okay, before we start into this, do you have any idea what is the marks weightage for these 3 chapters? And ICA is really bad. You know what they did? They said excise, customs, CST, VAT, all put together is 25 and service tax is 25. Okay, so we were interpreting that each law should be 10 marks each, but I don't know, this is the thing that they have put. And I was not clear about it. I sent a mail to the Board of Studies asking them, give us the breakup. They didn't reply so far. Okay, so first attempt for the revised syllabus is very risky. You never know. There are chances it might be other way around also. The marks weightage may vary, but don't get confused, don't panic. It's okay, learn the concept. And another problem that ICA did is they simply picked the entire content from CA final and dumped it in the new book. So it is very important to have some proper judgment and pick up the right topics and read at IPCC level. So you are lucky enough that all the pain is taken care by your teacher. I have done almost 20-25 days of preparation of these 3 laws. Like what has to be discussed in the class, what has to be given as notes, all that pain is already taken care, so you don't have to panic. Just take this handout is enough for you as of now. Okay, so this handout, I'll tell you the source from where we have prepared, nothing but ICA material itself. Because right now, ICA book is important for us. Other authors haven't come up with new books, they are still preparing. Some 1 or 2 books are available but not very useful. Okay, so projector will not work. No problem. These kind of technical problems are always there. In India, no, chalta. Tapasya don't say. Okay, now without the projector we will manage. Any chances projector will come? No, not coming? Okay, kindly switch on the lights. We don't need projector anymore. Chalo, good for us. Because in dark the devil comes, it seems, no? So there are chances that you might sleep when the lights are off. So no problem, we will use without a projector, we will have a classroom discussion. Now quickly tell me, we are learning customs law. Now what are we going to learn here? First topic is about the importer. He is importing goods into India. So let's say tomorrow you become an importer, what will happen? What will happen? The ship is arriving from a foreign country, bringing your consignment of goods, and it will come towards Indian waters. Once it is coming into Indian waters, will you allow the ship immediately to come and park at the Indian port? No, what are we supposed to do? The ship will come and it will stop at one place which is called berth place, B-E-R-T-H. It's a small area, a parking kind of space, not into the Indian port, but they will stop little before Indian port. Once they are stopping there, what will the master of the ship do? He will submit one document called Import General Manifest. Okay, I am saying point number 1, ship has come. Point number 2, what is the master of the ship doing? He is submitting one document called Import General Manifest. What is this document talking about? It is a declaration about what kind of goods are there in the ship, who are coming in the ship, are there any drugs in the ship, are there any pistols, guns, AK-47s in the ship. All this kind of declaration that person is supposed to give. Import General Manifest it is called. Point number 2. Whom is he giving to? He is giving it to an officer. We will use the name proper officer. Proper officer of the custom authorities. We will hand over this document to him. Once we hand over this document to him, this proper officer will give the permission. Okay, bring the ship into Indian port. Once the permission is given, then unloading of the goods will happen. Once the goods are unloaded, it will go into the custody of another officer who is called custodian. Okay, so this custodian is also an authority, part of our Indian ports. Okay, so what did we learn now? Ship arrived, master of the ship gave IGM, then that fellow, who? Proper officer, he gave permission, please bring and unload the goods. And once the goods are unloaded, they are not going to the owner of the goods. Importer cannot take it. It will go to whom? Custodian. Okay, this is the first part of the story. Now comes the second part of the story. What is the second part? The one who imported the goods, importer. Now he wants to take the goods and go. What will he do? What will the importer do? Point number 1. Importer. Now once the goods are unloaded, this is after unloading. These steps are important. Let me remind you, this 10 minutes of discussion now will help us next 4 hours to understand what is customs law. So please concentrate these 10 minutes, very important for you. Okay. So after unloading of the goods, that person, the importer, will file bill of entry. Okay, this is another document. In this document, he is going to talk about what goods he has imported, from whom he has imported, what is the value of the goods, all that he is supposed to declare. In addition to that, he should also do assessment of customs duty. He should do self-assessment. I have imported 10 boxes of so-and-so good. Okay, out of these 10 boxes, this is the value, and whatever prevailing a customs duty is there, he is supposed to apply that customs duty and calculate and arrive at customs duty. So here he will do self-assessment of custom duty liability. Okay. So now you tell me, when he is doing self-assessment of customs duty liability, what all he needs? When he has imported the goods from US, the currency is dollars. He has bought them in dollars. Okay, purchase invoice is in dollars, but customs duty has to be paid in Indian currency in rupees. So what he should do on the date of filing the bill of entry, when he is talking about arriving customs liability, he is supposed to convert that purchase bill into Indian currency, because customs duty is attracted on the purchase value of the goods. We will learn the valuation a little later. So on that value, he has to arrive at customs duty. So first step is he needs to know the exchange rate. An exchange rate on the day of filing the bill of entry, that day's exchange rate is important. Okay, so these points are going to come again. When we are discussing taxable event, I will repeat. But see, now stress on it. When he is filing bill of entry, in his hand he has got a purchase invoice which is in foreign currency. And now he is converting it into Indian currency by applying the exchange rate on that day. Fine. After this, we are talking about arriving at customs liability. Now what do you mean by that? Knowing the rate of customs duty. So we know that, customs duty rates also fluctuate. When the ship came, the rate was 10%. When we submitted IGM, something happened to the rate. When I got the permission, I unloaded the goods, the rate changed. Now when I am filing the bill of entry, some other rate is there. Which rate am I supposed to pick up? Again the law says the rate as on the date of filing the bill of entry. That rate is important. So see, the step 1 that we are talking about, file bill of entry, is very important. This date is important for the rate of exchange, as well as it is important for rate of duty. Should I take 12% or should I take 10%? They are saying look at the date of filing bill of entry and take that rate. Okay, I submit self-assessment of liability. Who am I submitting? Who's this fellow? Importer. Importer is submitting to proper officer. He gave the bill of entry. What will the proper officer do? Proper officer, step 2, will do assessment on bill of entry. He will just check whether whatever this fellow has put in the bill of entry, is it right or wrong. Value, calculation, rate, all that he is going to check. And checking is called assessment of bill of entry. Once it is assessed, this proper officer will issue to the importer assessed bill of entry. Assessed bill of entry. Okay. With this assessed bill of entry, what will the importer do? Importer will go to the bank. Importer to bank. Why he is going to the bank with the bill of entry? He has to make the payment. No, as of now he only did calculation and he gave it to the proper officer, and proper officer approved the calculation. Now he will go to the bank and make a payment. And when he is making payment, he will use a challan which is called TR6 challan, which we have heard in which chapter? TR6. Service tax, do you remember? Yeah, the same one. So here, this particular challan he is using and he is making payment. Once he is making payment, again where is he supposed to go? Simply he will make payment and keep quiet. How will the proper officer know? He will not know. So what should be fourth step? Take the paid challan. Paid challan. Who's taking it? Importer. And going where? To the proper officer. Importer to proper officer. He will submit. See, I have paid the dues. Whatever the duty is there, I have paid. Once this fellow is submitting this paid TR6 challan, what will the proper officer do? Proper officer issues one order which is called clearance order. Clearance order. Who's issuing? Proper officer. So see the flow. File the bill of entry, do self-assessment. And after this, submit it to the proper officer because he has to check. And once he is checking, go and pay. And once you pay, go take the TR6, give it to the proper officer. Proper officer will give you one order which is called clearance order. With this clearance order, you will not get the goods. What are you supposed to do? Now you got the clearance order. Fifth step is you got the clearance order. Where are the goods lying? Yeah, when the ship came, I said you submitted IGF and they permitted you and unloading happened. After unloading, where are the goods? The goods are with the custodian. Now you will go to the custodian. Importer with the clearance order, goes to the custodian. Goes to custodian. What will the custodian do? What will he do? He will collect any port dues if they are pending. What do you mean by port dues? See, when the ship has come, the unloading work was done by the port staff. They have to charge unloading labor cost from you. And for till the date of submission of bill of entry, where were the goods lying? In the go down of the customs station. The port allowed to keep the goods there. And for such a period, what will they charge from you? Rent? Because if they don't charge rent, how is it possible? So custodian will say, wait, do not take delivery. First to pay port dues. What do you mean by port dues? Some unloading expenses, some kind of warehouse expenses. Don't use the word warehouse, but you can call it demurrage charges. When you keep it for a certain period with the port authorities, you are supposed to pay some rent. So now seventh point is what? Custodian. What is he collecting? Collects port dues. Call it port dues. Customs duty is different. Other than customs duty, some port dues are there. So after he collects port dues, then eighth point will be what? What will be eighth point? Delivery of goods. Delivery of goods to whom? To the importer. Done? Okay. So now you will get a doubt once the goods have arrived into India, how many days time we have to submit bill of entry. Usually it is 30 days time. And those who have seen Badmash Company movie, what did he do? Our hero? He did not submit bill of entry till 30 days. When you don't submit bill of entry is nothing but a declaration where you're claiming the ownership of the goods. You're saying, I am the owner, I have purchased the goods, I imported, I want to clear the duty and take the goods and go. And this hero did not bother to submit bill of entry. Okay, he didn't do it for 30 days. Why? I will reveal it a little later. Okay, now see, this is clear, 8 points are clear. What were the first 3 points? Ship came. It was waiting at the birthplace. IGM was submitted. Officer gave the permission. Okay, bring the goods and do unloading. And then the goods were with the custodian. This was the physical part of it. This is the paperwork. What happened in the paperwork? Bill of entry is submitted. It is assessed. Taxes paid. On submission of paid challan, PO will give you an order which is called clearance order. With this you go to the custodian. Custodian will say pay the dues. Then you take the goods and go. Okay. So now we understood the flow. So tomorrow when you are bringing a ship, you are importing some goods, this is how it's going to happen. And one more small point we will add. This bill of entry which we are filing will be called white color. White color it is. Okay, now what do you mean by white color bill of entry? It means it is bill of entry for home consumption. Home consumption. Home consumption. Now what does that mean? There are some importers who do not want to consume immediately. What will they do? Instead of taking it for home consumption, they will request to the port authorities. They will say, we don't have own go down, we can't keep the consignment in our factory premises. Why don't you keep it in your warehouse? After 2 months or 3 months, we will come and take it. So there is other possibility also. This case is a case where the goods have come and you're taking the consignment immediately for home consumption. Therefore, it is called bill of entry in white color. Done? Now we will change the case. What should be the next case? We don't want for home consumption. What case we are going for? Now we will say it is a case of, we will clear home consumption and use the word, it is a case of warehousing. Now concentrate, story is changing now. So what are we going to do? Keep the goods in whose warehouse? The port warehouse. See, in my discussion, I am using the word port, but that doesn't mean import is happening only through water. How will you import the goods? Through air, through land also, and through water also. But for our classroom discussion, we are using the word water. Okay, no problem. But doesn't mean customs is only for water, it is for other cases also. Now I am talking about warehousing. See now how the topic will change. Now, after unloading, I will submit a bill of entry, color is changing. It is becoming yellow. Yellow means I don't want the goods now. Okay, you keep it. Remember, white means I want the goods immediately. Yellow means I don't want the goods. Please keep it with you. Who's keeping it? Port Trust of India. Our port authorities are keeping it. When we submit a bill of entry, see, even though we are not taking the goods, we are still supposed to submit a bill of entry by doing self-assessment of customs duty liability. As on that day, whenever you are submitting the bill of entry, even though the goods are going into warehouse, still you are supposed to do self-assessment of the duty. Once you do self-assessment, you submit it to the proper officer. Proper officer will do assessment on bill of entry, but this assessment, the word will change and it is called tentative assessment on bill of entry. What is the intention of the law? See, there are chances that warehoused goods are going to be cleared after 2 or 3 months. So law is telling import is complete only when you actually take it from here and go. That is the intention of law. Simply the goods have come here, import has not completed. Import will complete only when you take the goods and make it a part of the domestic land here. So as of now, when you're requesting for warehousing, import did not complete. That means whenever you're planning to take it out from the warehouse, that time we will do the final assessment of duty on you. There are chances that right now the duty might be only 10%. But when you remove it from the warehouse, that time it might become 12 or 15%. So intention of law is to put that 15% rate on you when you actually remove the goods. So what assessment they are doing? Tentative assessment. When you want to use the warehouse of the port authorities, they are saying import is not complete. Let us not do the final assessment. Right now we will do only tentative assessment. Okay, let them do. Tentative assessment on bill of entry. Once they do this tentative assessment for a duty amount, he should not make a payment. Rather, he should make a bond. Bond is what? Guarantee. He should make a bank guarantee with respect to the duty, and the size of the bond, this bond is nothing but, use the name bank guarantee. Bank guarantee. This should be equal to 2 times duty amount. They are not just taking the duty amount as bond, they are saying into 2 times. Now why they want to put into 2? What is the reason? When you are clearing it 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, you have to pay what all amount to the port? Not just the duty, warehouse charges, port dues, etc. So how to recover all that from you? Therefore, how much bond they want? 2 times the duty amount. This will take care of warehousing charges, etc., etc. So they'll ask you, then they'll give you this tentative assessment, you will go and make a bank guarantee. Then what will you do? You take the bond, you are the importer, take bank guarantee, submit to the proper officer. See, I made the bond. You asked me to make a bond, I have made. What will the proper officer do? Here we are not talking about clearance. Goods are not getting cleared. Where are the goods going? Warehouse. So he will pass which order? Instead of clearance order, which order he will pass? Warehousing order. Warehousing order. Okay, go and keep it in the warehouse. Immediately you can't go to the warehouse. Where are the goods? They are with whom? Custodian. Now you will go and submit it to the custodian. And what will the custodian say? What about my port dues? He will say all that. And then you have to show a copy of that bond to him. I have made a copy and this fellow gave me a warehousing order. So after submission to the custodian will direct the goods to warehouse. So this is our stage 1. First 0 stage was goods have come. This is our stage 1 where goods have gone to the warehouse. Now after 3 months we want to remove it from the warehouse. Now what to do? We have to clear this up. Can I clear it up? Okay, just this procedure, nobody is going to ask you a question. This procedure is needed only to understand the theory that we will discuss after all this. Okay, now we were discussing the next topic, which is how to clear it from the warehouse. So I will just clear this up. The next topic is clearing the goods from warehouse for home consumption. Okay, after 3 months we want to take it for home consumption. Okay. So now what is this? After 3 months time is over, the importer submits another bill of entry green for home consumption. See now, when he wanted to keep it in the warehouse, what color of bill of entry he used? Yellow. Now he wants to remove it from the warehouse. So what color he is using? Green. Okay, see, white comes only for one situation. What was that? When the goods have come to India, you want to take it immediately out. That time alone it is white. When you want to keep it with the port authorities, you use two bill of entries. The first one is yellow, next one is green. Yellow, please keep in the warehouse. Green is, please give it to us from the warehouse. Okay, now the importer submits bill of entry. Now see the difference. On 10th July 2013, some date, we submitted bill of entry which was yellow in color. After 1 month, we are submitting the next bill of entry which is green in color. See the difference. For 1 month, the goods were in the warehouse. Now when we are submitting this bill of entry green color, on this day, on 10th August 2013, we are submitting. What all we are going to do? Are we supposed to convert the dollars into Indian currency again? That conversion happened on which day? On this day itself. Exchange rate on 10th July itself is important because purchase was complete that time. You placed a purchase order, the goods have come, you did the examination of the goods, you accepted the goods, contract was complete on 10th July, purchase was complete on 10th July. So your conversion of foreign currency into Indian currency took place on 10th July itself. So we don't want the exchange rate of 10th August. We already took the exchange rate of 10th July. So dollars became Indian rupees. But now what is the law telling? When it comes to payment of duty, customs duty, the law says import should complete. And the word complete means when the imported goods are becoming a part of Indian land. The mass of the goods which are there in India, they should come and become part of that. Only then import is complete. When it was lying in warehouse, import was not complete. Now it is going to get completed. So what we are going to do? When we are talking about payment of customs duty on 10th August, we will take the rate of duty as on 10th August, whichever is later, when you are actually removing the goods. That day's rate of duty we are supposed to take and calculate customs duty again. Customs duty calculation again. In the previous discussion also I was talking about some calculation, but what was that calculation? Tentative calculation for the purpose of making a bank guarantee or a bond. It was not the final liability at all. When is the final liability coming? When you are actually removing the goods from the warehouse. So now you will do the final calculation by taking the rate of duty which is prevailing on 10th August. So if some change in rate has happened, when the goods came it was 10%. Now it has become 12%, the new rate will apply. So we will do the final calculation. Once we are doing this final calculation, the proper officer will do final assessment on bill of entry green. Previously what assessment he had done? Tentative assessment for the sake of creating a bond. Now he is doing a final assessment for the sake of actual payment of duty. So now with this assessed bill of entry, what will the importer do? Importer goes to the bank and makes payment. Now don't say he already paid. He did not pay. In the past, what did he do? He only created a bond. Why did he create a bond? The law is saying you will keep the goods with us, and if you don't turn out tomorrow, if you vanish tomorrow, how to recover the dues? Therefore, we want some bond. Tomorrow, if you become a defaulter, we will use that bond. For that purpose, they said create a bond. So right now, we are actually making the payment, and once you make the payment, the bond, you need not, nobody will encash that bond. You can cancel it. Then with this, importer goes to the bank and makes payment. After making payment, what will he do? Submits TR6 to proper officer. The paid challan he will give to proper officer. What will the proper officer do? He will issue an order which is called proper officer will give clearance order. Okay, you can clear the goods now. But where are the goods lying? Not with the custodian. They are lying with the warehouse. So with this clearance order, importer goes to warehouse keeper. What will the warehouse keeper do? He will say, please pay the warehouse charges, take the goods and go. So see now what happened? Simple it is. In the previous discussion I said create a bond. For the sake of bond we said do tentative assessment. And when you're actually removing it from the warehouse, do the final assessment. So exchange rate we have freezed. When did we freeze exchange rate? On 10th July. The day on which import was done, goods have come, you accepted, freeze the exchange rate. It will not change. But when it comes to paying the duty will be paid when you are actually removing it from the premises of port authorities, including the warehouse. So this is the cycle which is happening. So home consumption or warehousing. So once we know this flow, understanding the law will become very easy. Next to 2 hours, you will clearly understand what is actually the law telling us. Now tell me, what did our hero do in this story? He didn't do anything? He imported the goods. Okay, he didn't want to pay the duty. Duty was very high because you know the customs rates are too high based on the kind of goods that you import. It's a huge expenditure. He didn't want to pay, so he behaved very smart. What did he tell to the supplier? He wanted shoes. So he told the supplier, left leg shoes, you sent it to one port in India, let's say Chennai port, I don't remember which port. Another right leg shoes, you send it to Mumbai port. Now this fellow, you know, when only one leg shoe is coming, that good has no value at all. So this fellow did not turn out and he didn't submit any bill of entry. The port authorities waited for 1 month. After that, they will put that scrap for sale, auction they put. So this fellow's guy was standing in the auction. I am interested in the left leg shoes. Please give it to me. He knows where the right leg shoes are there. And port authorities thought, somebody is buying one side of the shoe. Great. Sell it off. So 1 lakh rupees worth consignment, you can sell it off for peanuts. 1,000 rupees, that fellow will say, in the auction I will bid for 1,000 rupees, take the consignment and go. Another fellow went to another port, took the right leg like that. They managed the customs duty and they have paid. So after exams, watch the movie, you will understand in a better manner how to escape from customs law. Okay, so there's so much you can understand. So as of now, we got an idea about the flow. But before we get into the theory, I just wanted you to start writing down proper notes we have to write. Customs, we understood the basics. Now we will get into the actual writing part. Constitutional background behind the taxes that we are reading, indirect taxes. Okay, so we know we are talking about Schedule 7 of the Constitution now. Schedule 7. This is talking about 3 lists, you know very well. Union list, yeah, state list, list. Now quickly tell me, under the union list, how many taxes we are going to talk about? Customs duty, excise duty, service tax, even CST we have to talk here. Because CST, the power is with the central government, central sales tax, but they allow the state government to collect and keep it. Remember, what did I say? When it comes to CST, the power to collect is with whom? Central government. But they said no problem, state government, you don't have money, you collect, you keep. Okay. Here we are going to talk about VAT. So you can expect, in the past there were some exam questions which were talking about constitutional background behind service tax, constitutional background behind VAT, etc. So because you already know service tax, quickly tell me what are the entry numbers which is giving the power to levy. Yeah. So when it comes to service tax, 92C. When service tax was initially introduced in 94-95, they used the power under a residuary entry called entry 97. But later on they formally introduced a power under 92C. Okay, this you are aware. Now please add some more things. Customs duty entry number 83. Excise duty entry number 84. Central sales tax is entry number 92A and 92B. So any question you should be ready to write, memorize this entry numbers. And VAT is entry number 54. Under concurrent list, some code of criminal procedures are there which we don't know, we are not studying law, so don't expect this from me. Some code of criminal procedures, the state and central both have powers to draft. Leave that. This we want. So this is clear? I can clean the board? Make it fast. By heart the entry numbers. You can get dry questions like this also. You never know. They asked in the past. Now also they can ask. Okay, now we will get into the actual customs law. What are we going to read? When it comes to customs duty, we will read Customs Act 1962 and Customs Tariff Act. Customs Tariff Act 1975. Kindly remember, these are the two sources of law that we are planning to read. Okay, I will repeat. Customs law is 1962, Customs Tariff Act is 1975. And there are also customs valuation rules, but these rules are for your CA final. Right now we are not going to touch on it. Okay, now tell me, customs duty liability is on whom? Importer. Because I discussed importer, you would say importer. Yeah, you will say, next topic. Customs duty liability is on import of goods as well as export of goods. Okay, concentrate now. When it comes to import, it is Schedule 1 of Customs Tariff Act. Because see, remember, even for service tax law or income tax law, we say that the rates are not given by that act. Finance Act will tell us about the rates, etc. So when it comes to this customs law, the law is definitely there in Customs Act 1962. But the rates are given in some other chapter which is called Customs Tariff Act, which is going to talk about the rate. So Schedule 1 of Customs Tariff Act is talking about import, and Schedule 2 of Customs Tariff Act is talking about export. Now listen to a point very clearly. When it comes to import, more or less every import is taxable. Okay, every import. But when it comes to export, see what I am writing. All are exempt except leather, skin, hides. Why this? Why are we doing this? See, remember right from the beginning, exports are encouraged. When it comes to direct taxes or indirect taxes, exports always enjoy exemption. This is what we've been learning. Because see, when you export a good, if you levy customs duty, what will happen to the price of the good? It will increase. When the price is increasing in international market, you lose the competition. Some other country may do better, you may not get good market. So therefore the government is saying exports are exempt. But when it comes to leather, skin, hides and all, we can't leave it. Now why this? What is this? What is skin and all that? See, animal skin you're selling, it is not that easily available, so you can levy tax on it. The skin is processed, it is called leather. And what is hides? What's up? Hides are nothing but in Hindi, see, skin is that upper layer, inside you call it khal. Now you understand Hindi? Okay, that one. So today after you go home, open dictionary, try to understand what is hide. Okay, let's not worry about it, we are not doing Google here. So now come back. So what did we learn now? Import, everything is taxable. Export, all are exempt except 3 things. Clear. Now quickly tell me, import is on what? Import of what? What are we importing? We are importing goods. Now quickly tell me what do you mean by goods? What do you mean by goods? You are importing goods, so what do you mean by goods? The law is telling goods include vessel, vehicle, aircraft. Now you don't worry, you are saying these are only coming, dropping and going. No, I am not talking about those which are coming, dropping and going. See, these are those which are coming permanently into India. See, there are many airline companies which buy the planes. Okay, the planes are permanently coming into India. Vehicles, cars and all are permanently coming. They are coming as goods. Somebody bought them. So if something is coming permanently into India, then it is a good. No, it is only coming, dropping and going back. No, we are not talking about that. So if a company is importing a vehicle from outside India, that vehicle is a good, they have to pay customs duty on it. Like that you have to read. In addition to that, goods include stores. See, imagine when the vessel is coming, they need some stores, spare parts, anything can happen to the vessel, it may get spoiled. They need fuel to run the vessel. All that is called stores. Now you might be thinking, why the law is asking us to talk about the stores? Will there be customs duty on this? No, on this there is no customs duty, but they want you to declare, because see, people are doing smuggling. So to put a check on smuggling, they want you to declare when the ship is coming, what all is coming in that. So therefore they are saying goods include stores also, what you bring with you, spare parts, fuel, etc. This also includes some kind of foreign currency. If you're bringing foreign currency, you should also mention about it. Negotiable instruments, if you're bringing along with you, mention about it. And last one, they're stressing any other movable article, movable property. Okay, so because see, when we say that these are goods, they want you to talk about them in import general manifest. For that purpose, they are saying that these are goods. They want you to talk about stores that are coming, about the foreign currency which is coming along with that person. Because see, black money and all is coming into country, so you have to put a check on it. So even that currency is becoming a good for the sake of declaration. Any other movable article, and movable article includes animals also. If you bring animals, even on that you have to pay customs duty. So this could be living or artificial, any other movable item. Fine. This is goods. You will not get a question on please tell us what is goods under customs law, but briefly you should have an idea about it. But you will get a question on this discussion. What do you mean by transit goods and transshipment goods? You may get a question on this. Goods are further divided into transit and transshipment goods. Transit and transshipment goods. Okay, now what is this transit and transshipment? Let us understand. Okay, so this is India, let's say. It should look like India, fine. This is a foreign port. Concentrate. There is a ship coming. It has got goods A, B, C, D in it. They have come to India. Okay, big ship, A, B, C, D came to India. Goods A, goods B dropped here. Indian port, they have dropped. And now the same ship, it is taking C and D and going off to another foreign port. So it's like, you know, India was via India, some other country, like that. So from some country, one ship is coming, it dropped to some two boxes here, and then to some other country it was going off. A, B, C, D came, they touched here. Indian port saw A, B, C, D. But A, B was unloaded, C and D went away. Tell me what is transit goods? Transit goods. C, D, what is A and B? Imported goods. They have come to India, destination was India. A and B are imported goods. But C and D are what? Transit goods. They touched India but went away. The destination was not here. Via India it has gone somewhere. Why the law is interested in such goods? Again, to put a check on smuggling and all, they are interested in knowing what kind of goods are reaching here, what goods are going out other than India, some other country. You are supposed to give a declaration. So in IGM, you should clearly say these are transit goods. We will touch the country, Indian country, but we will not drop them. We will go take them and go away. That is transit. Goods which are not reaching India but going off are called transit goods. Now what about transshipment goods? Same thing. See now. Now what happened? This ship is full of 80% of the ship is full with A and B. Goods A and B is occupied 80% of the ship. Big vessel has come to India. 20% of the ship is C and D. They came to India, they dropped AB. That means how much ship became empty? 80% of the ship is empty. Now imagine such a big vessel, two small boxes C and D if they take and go to another foreign country. Will it make sense? What to do with C and D? Drop it in the water and go back. Huh? What to do with C and D? You should hire one chota ship, small one. Okay, and put C and D in it and ask the chota ship, you go to foreign port. What is this now? Transshipment goods. What happened in transshipment? In English you say, what happened in transshipment? The goods are changing, the vessel, conveyance, the vehicle, that vessel is changing. Earlier it came in one ship named Bhishma. Now it is going in another ship named called Bhima. Okay, so when the ship is changing, then we will say it is called transshipment. What was transit? What was transit? Ship did not change. The same ship went away to another country. What is transshipment? Big ship is dropped to two boxes in a small ship and small ship is going. That is called transshipment. So two terms we have understood now. Chalo, now quickly put the heading levy of customs duty. Levy of customs duty. Levy of customs duty. Whole of India, including territorial waters. Whole of India means Jammu and Kashmir also.
Yes.
Okay, including territorial waters. You know very well territorial waters means 12 nautical miles, and it also includes exclusive economic zone, continental shelf, 200 nautical miles into the sea, all that you know. Same thing is repeated here. So they are saying this is Indian water. India includes not just the Indian land, it also includes the Indian water. Why are we bothered about Indian water here? Tell me. Now see, concentrate. In this Indian water, ONGC is doing some oil digging, somewhere here. Okay, they are not in Indian land, they are in Indian water. From one foreign country, one machine has come here. From foreign country, ONGC has imported one machine, and that machine came from here. It is there in the water and doing the digging work. Now the issue is, did they import a machine? The machine did not touch Indian land. It is there in Indian water. Yes, why not? So this is a case of import. Even if you sit in Indian water and import certain things, you have to pay customs duty. So from the foreign country, if something has come to this oil rig, whatever machines etc. you bring here, even that is subject to customs duty. Now see another example. From Indian water, something is going to Indian land. From Indian water. Will you say it is import? Import means outside India, and outside India means outside Indian water. Import means it should come from here. If something is coming from this area to Indian land, it is not an import. But from here to Indian water is import. Remember that. Okay, and by defining this territorial waters etc., the law is giving the powers to the officer. You can roam in this Indian water, do stop, search, seizure, arrest, check on smuggling, all that you can do in Indian water. So therefore they are defining what is India. Okay. Now for the heading charging section, section 12. Charging section, section 12. Okay, write down one line on this. Section 12 provides that customs duty shall be levied on the goods imported into India or exported outside India. In brackets you write at the rate specified in Customs Tariff Act 1975. Specified in Customs Tariff Act 1975. And what is Schedule 1? For import. What is Schedule 2? For export. Great. Okay, now the next topic is section 19. Okay, write the heading. Determination of duty. Where goods consist of articles liable to differential rate of duty. Okay, now what does this mean? Section 19 we are discussing. So what is section 19 talking about? One fellow has imported one consignment. Okay, this consignment is consisting of goods A, B, C, D, 4 different categories of goods. So now what happened? A is subject to 5%, B is subject to nil, C is 10, D is 15. But the purchase invoice, which is talking about the value, is a consolidated invoice. For this consignment, the importer did a mistake. He has taken a consolidated invoice for rupees $10,000. The invoice is $10,000 for the entire consignment. Now what rate to apply? Should I put 5 or nil or 10 or 50? What should the law say? Average one. Law is saying, why did you take consolidated invoice? Now see what we will see. Highest of all the above. Highest. So entire 10,000 will suffer 15%. But now immediately you start crying. What is this? How can you put 15%? Then the law is saying, okay, show me the evidence. Show me the breakup of each commodity. If you show me the breakup and if I am satisfied, then separately we will levy customs duty. So case 1. If breakup is not available, what rate is applicable? Highest rate. Case 2. If breakup is available, then nothing to worry. For each commodity, separately, separate rates will apply. Okay, now to this we will add another case. Sometimes when we are buying big sophisticated machines, along with the machines, the supplier will also give us some spare parts, accessories, etc. Now what rate to apply for spare parts, accessories? Law is telling whatever rate is applicable for the machine, the same rate will apply for spare parts, etc. So 3 things we have learned now. What are they? Quickly write down briefly. You write. First one. Case 1. If evidence is available regarding breakup, if evidence is available regarding breakup, separate rate will apply. Separate rate will apply. Otherwise, highest rate will apply. Highest rate will apply. Simply listening will not work here. We are learning it for the exam, so have patience. Another point, what will you write? If accessories, spare parts, if accessories, spare parts are compulsorily supplied, with the articles, then accessories will be chargeable. Accessories will be chargeable at the same rate. Accessories will be chargeable at the same rate as that of the main article, as the main article.
Rotate this, sir. Either use just the rotate of.
Okay, now we will learn the next important topic, which is called taxable event, and this topic is one compulsory question from this topic is sure to come. Because you will get practical questions on solving customs duty, so this taxable event is needed. Put the heading taxable event, put star on it, very important. Revise it, read it carefully. Okay, so now we are discussing taxable event in case of import. Markers. These are too light. Okay, so now we will discuss taxable event for import. So we will divide our discussion in 2 things. We've already seen and we understood the flow of customs. Import we have already heard. So let's see what is this now. This chart is important now. So we are talking about taxable event. For taxable event we will say first important thing. Conversion of foreign currency to Indian currency. Next one we will discuss section 15. This is section 14. This is section 15. Rate of duty. Rate of duty. Or you can use the word payment of duty. One and the same, payment. This we will discuss under section 15. Okay, so for this what we will do? Which rate? Next one, rate of which date? Two things we have to ask now. First of all, be clear, the purchase is over, but the purchase is in foreign currency. We are planning to convert it into Indian currency. So whose exchange rate are we supposed to take? Because in India, RBI comes up with exchange rate, central government comes up with exchange rate. So many authorities are having exchange rate. Whose exchange rate we should take? Customs law is telling, please take the rate of CBEC. CBEC, Central Board of Excise and Customs. For the sake of customs law, CBEC comes up with an exchange rate on first day of every month. Okay, actually exchange rate keeps fluctuating from morning to evening, also it will change. But CBEC is coming up with a rate which they notify on first day of every month. And that rate will apply for the entire month. And for the sake of payment of duty, they are asking you to take CBEC exchange rate. So in the problem, they will give you RBI rate, central government rate, this rate, that rate. You ignore all rates, just take CBEC rate. Okay, now next one. Rate, for the sake of rate, which month is important? Because I told you, ship came, then we submitted, unloading, bill of entry, this and that. So many events are happening. From one month to next month, the flow is going on. So which day is important? Exchange rate. So we said rate of which date? Date of filing. Filing bill of entry. Now to this we will further clarify. If you are going for home consumption, which bill of entry? White color. If you are going for warehousing, which bill of entry? Yellow color. Green is for what purpose? Payment of duty. When you actually clear from the warehouse, that time you have to pay the duty. That time we want green. But for converting foreign currency into Indian currency, we want which one? Yellow. Whenever you have submitted the declaration, bill of entry means a declaration. I am the importer, I am the owner, I want to keep the goods in the warehouse. That is, we want exchange rate. Now we are clear? Exchange rate is done? Okay. For the sake of rate of duty, again the law is bifurcating and saying home consumption, warehousing. We want a taxable event. We want what rate should I pick up? Because remember, when the goods came, maybe excise, the customs duty was 10%, but when we are actually clearing it, it became 15%. So which rate is applicable, old rate or new rate? For that purpose, the law is saying taxable event is small a, bill of entry. I will write date of bill of entry, green. See now, for the sake of creating, okay, this is home consumption, right? So I will put white here. Here we write green. Here white. Okay, date of bill of entry, which is white, or date of grant of entry in words. Now what language is this? Let us check. Whichever is earlier, whichever is later, whichever is later. I will repeat this. Please concentrate.